As Donald Trump stumps hard ahead of Election Day, he insists there is a path to the 270 electoral votes needed to win the White House, despite what some critics and analysts are saying. Here he is a short time ago talking about the states he needs to lock down.
I think I'm winning in Florida, which I have to win. I think I'm winning in North Carolina from what I hear. I'm polling very well in Ohio. In fact, I'm going to win Ohio. We're doing phenomenally well in Iowa. Yeah, I think we're either winning or tied. It's going to be very, very close.
Meanwhile, Vice Presidential nominee Mike Pence has a message for wary Republicans.
It's time for Republicans to come home. We've got support from independents. We've got support from many Democrats. But as you've said many times, Sean, it's time for Republicans to come home and come together, elect Donald Trump.
So piggybacking off of what Lou just said is this idea that emulate, if you will, the Democrats. And that's what their message is right now. You got to come home.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, you know, the right to get out there and give that message, it's a little late. We wish they could stay on message throughout the whole campaign. Better late than never. But there's still 2 weeks left, and we know how things can move. I'm looking at the early returns in Florida. We don't know how people voted, but we know how many people voted by mail. Republicans have returned 31,000 more ballots so far than Democrats have. And it kind of speaks to that whole thing, like you said, about people not wanting to say who they're voting for.
And to intensity, perhaps. Maybe that gives us a little clue about intensity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Tim Kaine had 30 people show up at West Palm Beach for an event yesterday. 30 people.
Wow, the weather was fabulous.
3 dozen.
Yes.
But I heard the weather was good for surfing. I don't know.
It might have been that, but then you had 15,000 show up in Tampa where the surfing apparently wasn't so good for Donald Trump.
There you go. I want to talk about a little place, Maine's 2nd Congressional District, just one electoral vote in that rural northern part of the state, and Trump and Clinton are going after it, and what that tells us, because it was leaning GOP, now it's a toss-up. How much does that matter?
Well, I don't know. Explain the strategy here because, you know, the Democrats seem to be downplaying how well they're doing compared to the Trump campaign right now. Why are you seeing Donald Trump not saying, look, we do have a lot of ground to make up. We are not where we want to be. We heard that from Kellyanne Conway. I mean, wouldn't that help get voters out if they knew that, you know, the race is tight, but we're not where we need to be?
I think that what you're saying is exactly correct. But there is so much anger, there is so much cold anger, as some wags have expressed it, within the Republican base. They don't have to say much. They're going to be out there. People were in a line, I mentioned in Tampa, for 12 hours.
Yeah.
And you're seeing this across the country. This isn't differentiated by anything other than the bluest of blue states. You're seeing it everywhere else.
I mean, but that's what's going to make election night so interesting, because so much conventional wisdom has been so wrong and so far off base in this election cycle, throughout the whole thing. And people who were prognosticating and predicting, they were dead wrong in the primary. And, you know, we're still seeing a very tight race. Now, granted, Donald Trump isn't up in any of these polls but 2, Rasmussen and LA Times.
The national polls.
Yeah.
So, Kennedy, let me ask you this, though. We can put up the electoral scoreboard as we see it here at Fox. If, excuse me, this is the Trump campaign prediction map.
Yeah.
Forgive me there. All right, so we want to make that very clear. And you see that Texas is obviously not in play on their map. But what I was going to say, and it is when you look kind of a trajectory process, our map shows that Texas and other places are not in play. So what is he seeing that's different on the ground? Because he has been on the ground, and he's getting, as Lou said, those huge rallies. So he's talking to people.
No, he is. But, you know, again, what makes it interesting is states that have been traditionally Democrat or Republican are now either pink or the lightest of blue. And that means election night, they really could fall either way, because Texas and Georgia now very much in play where they weren't before. And, you know, what does that mean exactly? We don't know. And frankly, if I were in a state that had early voting, I wouldn't be voting 2 weeks out, because I still want to see what's going to happen if the Clinton campaign really has more surprises and more grovelets. And Giuliani is promising from the Trump campaign that they've got more surprises. I want to see how everything coalesces and falls into place.
U.S. Supreme Court picks are what people tell me time and time again on both sides of the political aisle, which are irrespective of any sort of late October surprise or anything like that. And I'm fascinated by those low numbers of people who who say that they haven't made up their mind yet, which is why they're willing to vote early.
The low numbers or the high numbers?
The lower numbers that we've been seeing recently.
Yeah, I'm surprised there's anyone out there, though, at this point who isn't undecided. As I've said, I'm going as the undecided voter on Halloween because I'm not sure they really exist except on that night. There's so much out there. You got to know who you're voting for at this point, no?
All right.